My name is Kathleen Coddou. I'm John Coddou's wife. The first time I saw John, I asked my coworker, "Who is that man?" She said, "That's John Coddou." And I said, "I'm gonna marry that man one day." Gosh, he was so incredibly handsome. He would come to the office and submit service requests for his apartment or talk about the renewal of his lease, which is months out. I would run to the back of the office and wait for him to leave because he made me so nervous. My mouth would get dry and I'd stammer my words just answering the phone when he would call, so how could I possibly talk to him in person? He would go for a dip in the pool, and of course my desk directly faced the window overlooking the pool. And I would ask the girls, "Are you guys hot?" As I'm rapidly fanning myself, failing miserably trying to focus on work. He'd later admit that there was only one reason he would visit the office so frequently and do push-ups before heading to the pool. That was 20 years ago this year. John was always looking to make connections when meeting new people, trying to find a commonality. He never knew a stranger. He'd often start conversations by asking people where they're from. He'd go on to talk about how he grew up and went to Pilgrim Lutheran, a private school, until about 8th grade. This past rodeo season, he took me down memory lane, driving along South Braeswood. He showed me where he and his friends would skateboard on the bayou down Chimney Rock, where he fell off his skateboard and got a nice gash on his brow. How his mom was driving by just as he crossed the street and with his hand over his brow trying to stop the bleeding, and she loaded him up and rushed him to the yard. He said a few days later he went back to the bayou after being scolded and told to stay off. Of course, he slipped on bayou moss and opened up his stitches. He ran home and changed into clean clothes, and when his mom came home, he made up some excuse about how his stitches opened back up. Then they go back to the yard to get restitched and mended. He'd often talk about how long his hair was as a young teenager and how he'd run his hands through his hair like he was Ralph Macchio. This always made me giggle and think he was always so handsome. He told me stories about how he played baseball as a kid and got smacked right in the noggin with the ball. His nose had to be rebroken and recentered because it wasn't set right the first time. He often told people about how he graduated from Bel Air High School. He said he had friends both at Bel Air and Westbury High School. The two schools were rivals, but he said he went to private school first and had friends at both schools and would often be peacekeeper between mutual friends. He would often be asked, "How do you pronounce your last name?" And he'd respond, "Coddou." He had a little rhyme to help others remember, of course. He would just say, "Remember this, Coddou could do what you could do, but could you do what Coddou could do?" He'd tell many about how he was a veteran and completed basic training at Fort McClellan in Alabama and how it's now decommissioned. After he was stationed in the 705th Military Police Battalion in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. This is where he started becoming a man. He learned about honor, respect, and structure. He valued family. He treasured his mom. A fond memory is where he writes to his mom over Christmas and gifts her with a token that symbolizes the love, patience, and faith that she has had in all three of her children. So instead of re-enlisting, he wanted to come back home to Houston to see his little brother grow up. Chris was about 6 or 7 at the time. John often spoke with pride about his contributions to the opening of the Papacito Sugarland, also known amongst the alumni Cito's 3, where he was a bartender. Here's where he thrived in his innate ability to entertain, serve, and provide hospitality that he demonstrated through his entire life. He especially looked forward to the opportunity to connect with his old crew annually at a birthday crawfish bowl for his former Papacito's general manager. He enjoyed catching up with his old crew to see where everyone is now and ask about their life because he cared about them still. In October 2003, John began his career with the Harris County Sheriff's Office. He was a civilian jailer, deputy, patrol deputy, and finally a deputy investigator in the prestigious Violent Crimes Unit. John made sure to let people know in conversation that Harris County is the 3rd most populous county in the United States, especially in Aspen. When I asked about what he loved most about his job, it was the fact that he was out there making a difference. He was out there helping people in need. When I asked about what he loved most about being a violent crimes investigator, he said he was finally able to catch the bad guys. And he did just that. He always beamed with pride and privilege when he was sent for additional training, awarded for excellence, access to new tech systems, selected for development programs such as the LDI or RIDE and more. He later boasts that his violent crimes unit was often referred to as the A-Team because they delivered results, and I'm pretty partial, I'd have to agree. Yes, he would go through great lengths to connect with somebody by sharing who he was and talked about his passions for the outdoors, hunting and fishing. His short stories were never short. He was always incredibly informative, over-communicative, and always had ideas for anything and everything under the sun. To the Harris County Sheriff's Office family, all LEOs, and first responders, thank you all for what you selflessly do day in and day out and without hesitation. John was honored and proud to serve along each of you and to be part of your family. To family and friends, John really had it figured out. He found out how to stretch time, make a day seem longer with all that he accomplished, all the tasks completed, all the people he called and chatted with. He knew how to stay connected with so many of you on a regular basis that it almost seemed simultaneous. He was everywhere, all at once, effortlessly. To Rose, thank you for raising an absolutely handsome, charming, funny, loving man. He loved you so much, Rose, and I absolutely love that about him. You instilled in him the importance of family, the skill of making and maintaining relationships, and you did an incredible job. To my husband, John, my love, how do I even start? When I said I'm gonna marry that man someday, I had no idea that it would actually happen. I had no idea that you would be remotely interested in me. I had no idea what you were about. I soon learned your potential. I soon understood how you love. I encouraged only the best for you. I held you accountable. And in return, you were God's greatest gift to me. I was always proud of you. I always believed in you. You loved my family as if they were your own blood and quickly assumed responsibility for their safety and well-being. With you, I've always felt safe. I've always felt secured. I knew that wherever I was, you were out there watching over me as you regularly checked in to see how my day was. I always felt your unquestionable love. You gave us a home. You planned us adventures and travel. You kept me plenty healthy with your absolutely delicious cuisine. You filled my days with laughter and your dance moves as I flirt. Those hips don't lie. You were my backbone. You pulled me out of my head and thoughts, put plans into actions. If there was something I needed or wanted, you were so quick to act. You made me feel beautiful with your eyes and the smile that beamed from your incredibly handsome face. You gave me an absolutely beautiful life. You were my husband, my heart, my better half, my best friend. You were my heaven here on earth. I will always cherish all of our special memories. I will love you and miss you all the days of my life. Thank you, my love. Thank you for your love in all forms you gave it. I would do it over and over again even if I knew it would end the same as it has now. In God's time, I very much look forward to the day that we are reunited for all eternity. We are all better versions of ourselves because of you. You, John Coddou, you made a difference. You made people feel seen. You made people smile and laugh. You made us feel safer. You were helpful and served all. You lived every day with hope, honor, pride, and possibility. We are all now charged with doing the same. You will never be forgotten. May you rest in heavenly and eternal peace.